Shalom. First and foremost, above all things, I want to give all praises and honor and glory that's definitely due to Yahweh Ba'ashem, Yahushai Ba'ashem, B'Kakradash, from the Prophets in Babylon out of the Waco, Texas camp, affiliated with the branch of Prophets in Babylon, Tampa Bay, Florida. I'm your brother Atiat. I'd like to give a special double honors to the elders and apostles on down at Great Millstone, and peace and salutations to the elect. May the blessing of election be upon your household, or you sincere brothers and you few sisters out there that listen and take heed. And live lesson for today, basically, we're living in a generation of degeneracy. And Lord willing, I hope and pray that this will be edifying. So, I was listening to the beloved brother from GMS, Kansas City Prophets, and really love to listen to that brother. Love the brother's spirit, just the Lord's just put a beautiful spirit on that brother, and you can really learn a lot from him. You can learn from every other other brothers as well. It's just that brother there, I just love to listen to the brother, and I listen to other brothers as well, but he was talking about this generation and these kids, these Israelite children, man, they're a lot of them are being brought up in a one-parent household, man, and all this goes back to and all of it really goes back to Esau, because he set it up that way. He set it up to where there's only one parent in the household. Because once you start elevating the woman, making her think that she's independent, when the scriptures tell you clearly in Sirach that, a woman should not be given liberty nor gad abroad. And we see what happens when you go against the laws and statutes of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai, that all that's going on is nothing but confusion. Some of these kids come up, they're the boys are effeminate, I know from personal testimony, it was a woman I was dealing with before I came into the truth. And, she had two sons. One of them's deceased now. But, the youngest son that she had, and he's still around, he's very effeminate. I mean, he's a big guy, he's a big guy, but he's very effeminate. He's a mo. And so, it just shows you what happens when you don't have, a father in the household to guide the son, and also, especially in this kingdom that we live in, over the last several generations, this has been going on for a while now, and these boys who grow up to be men are effeminate. Now, that's not necessarily saying they turn into moles, but how they handle situations, they get overly emotional, because they're led by their emotions, just like their mother is led by their emotions. A woman is led by her emotions, so she needs the guidance of a righteous man to guide her and say, hey, you need to calm down, and she take heed. But in this society, being that Esau runs this kingdom, he has the woman, basically on his level, and even at times over his level. And this is the confusion. This is why you can call this place very easily. It makes sense in the spirit to understand why the scriptures call this place Babylon, because this is a place of great confusion. Egypt as well, because we're in captivity, high bondage captivity right now. Because we're bound to we're bound to our bills. We have to pay bills. Brothers work paycheck to paycheck, and it's it's very frustrating, man. But like I say, through the spirit of Yahweh Hashem Yahushai, this is the only way we get through. Get through it. And call Lord Yahweh Hashem Yahushai for doing that, man, because if not, we would lose it. If we wasn't called into this ministry, we would lose it. But through the spirit of Yahweh Hashem Yahushai, he's guiding us, to how, and molding us into the men that we should have been before. Because really, be honest with you, I grew up in a two-parent household myself, but there were certain things my father didn't teach me because, he didn't have his father in his household. He didn't have a father in his household. Matter of fact, my dad's, my grandfather, he left my grandmother maybe about, way before I don't even know if my father was even born yet before they left, because they couldn't get along, and sometimes it's so easy to be bitter with the father. Oh, you left and you didn't stick around. Well, you know what? I don't know what kind of hell that my grandmother was putting on my grandfather, So when you get a certain age, you kind of understand why these things happen. And then, like I say, through the spirit of Yahweh Hashem Yahushai, you understand why this happens. Mainly it goes all the way back to Esau, because when you push certain things, and this place pushes the Queen of Heaven's spirit, man. You have to understand that this place pushes the Queen of Heaven's spirit. And these women, the more and more as the decades go by, the more and more they're pushing independent thinking from a woman, which her thoughts are through her emotions. This is why a woman should not be able to, shouldn't be able to be a judge. But you see a lot of times these women are judges, and they're ruled by their emotions, man, And so, it trickles on down to the kids, and it's so important that a father be in a child's life, because you see the chaos that's going on when you just have the mother there. And these kids are very disrespectful, man. They it's like, dang, what, but you know why, through the spirit, why these things are happening, because we're living in the last days, man. And you see it in the spirit that these kids ain't right, man. And so judgment has got to come. You got now, these kids, they talk back to their parents. I remember back in the day, I didn't even think about talking back. I mean, the thought was of it, but not to take the action, the actual action, because I was like, oh, I was scared of the consequences, And see, that's the thing about it. The fear is gone with these kids, and these kids feel like they're on the same level of their parents. you know, and you know, this is what happens. You know, Esau tells you don't punish your child, you know, and so when you don't punish him, you know, with the rod, what happens? These kids, you know, they rebel. I saw a video that the brother put up yesterday, where this woman, you know, like, you know, what she was doing, it was wicked, but you know, for her to disrespect her mama like she did, you know, that's not right, man. You know, regardless, you know, there's a way to call out things to your parents if they're going off without disrespecting them, you know. And so this daughter, she was saying that her mama had sex with this guy for a Subway sandwich, which is like, wow, you know. But it just shows you how low and how degenerate our people have become, to where you will have sex for a Subway sandwich, you know. And she was calling her mama out, you know. She was calling her, you know, bitches and hoes, you know, and all that kind of stuff. Which, yeah, her mama was doing low level stuff, but at the end of the day, that's still your mama. You know, so you could have put it in a better way than to be so rude and very disrespectful to your mom like that, you know. But that just shows you that these women or these kids think that they're on the same mindset. You know, they can be disrespectful. They can be as rude and disrespectful as they want to be. And that's not how it's supposed to be, man, you know. You know, the Lord set things up to where things will be done in decency and order. And when you have this devil in rulership, you see the decline in our people. You know, children have no respect for their parents, and parents, you know, they're falling short on you know, you don't have a two-parent household. So when you don't have that two-parent household and you don't have the spirit of Yahweh Shem Yahweh to guide you, these are the things that happen, man. You know. And there's some exceptions to the rule. You have you may have some people come from a two-parent household, but the father is you know, he's you know, he's reduced, you know. In other words, he can't be a man in that household like he should be, you know, because this woman has been exalted. So it's just all messed up, man. So I'm gonna get some scriptures, Salakia, for the rant. I wasn't able to go into the scriptures because I was driving, but I just stopped, so I'm gonna go into some precepts. Proverbs chapter 13 and verse 24. He that spareth his rod hateth his son, but he that loveth him chasten him betimes. Yeah. So those who spareth the rod hate their sons, you know. And you can't spare the rod, man. You have to, you know, discipline your child. You got to think about it. The Lord is disciplining us right now, you know. You got to go to work. You're working paycheck to paycheck. You got to be around a bunch of degenerates on a day in, day out basis, you know. People that don't share the same love and the fear of Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai like we do. You know, they don't call on Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai. Their reliance is on this system of things that they live in. You know. We go to another scripture here. It's Proverbs chapter 30. Verse 11. There is a generation that curseth their father and do not bless their mother. And this is the generation they live in. You got people who literally cuss out their fathers. Children who literally cuss out their father. I could never thought about ever, cussing out my father. And, my father's in the spirit world. He's been gone since last year. And I wouldn't dare, because he instilled that fear in fear of him for me not, I felt like he would have knocked my teeth down my throat if I had ever cussed him out, And even when he, got up in age, I would never thought about disrespecting him by, cussing him out, Now, might have been things that he could have done better, yeah, but I also understand, being in this truth that, there was certain things that he went through, but I'm thankful that I came from a 2-parent household, and he was there for me. I might not always got the things that I wanted, but he provided the things that we needed, and for that, I'm very thankful for it, But yeah, most of these people, they cuss out their fathers. They leave a house because they can't get along with the mother. And so it's best for him to leave. And a lot of these kids, they don't have the understanding of why, And then they turn around, they'll cuss out their mother and all that type of stuff, man. That's wrong, man. Yahweh Hashem Yahushua ain't for that, man. But this is the generation that we're living in right now, where they have no regards or no respect for their parents. This is why this girl was calling her mama a bitch and a hoe for, having sex for a Subway sandwich, Now, I'm not defending the mama and saying she was upright for doing what she did, but at the same time, it wasn't right for her daughter to disrespect her mother like that, man. So let me get another one here. 2nd Ezra, chapter 5 and verse 8. To just show you that we're living in a generation. We're living that time is we're living in right now is here. That the prophets were talking about. There shall, 2nd Ezra chapter 5 and verse 8, there shall be a confusion also in many places. And we're in the land of confusion right now, Babylon. And fire shall be often sent out again, and the wild beasts shall change their places, and menstruous women shall bring forth monsters. And that's what these kids are. They're monsters, man. I know where I live right now, you got a mother who has a daughter. The daughter has 5 kids. Man, those kids are bad as hell, man. They run up and down the damn stairs, and they always yelling and hollering and crying and screaming, and so it just shows you, man, this is the place of confusion, man. And how the daughter is, how the mother is, that's how the daughter is. So, all she's doing is following the blueprint of her mother's footsteps. Having multiple baby daddies and all that. That's confusion, man. So, this is the generation, man. So, now's the time to seek Yahweh Hashem Yahushua while we can, man. So, Lord willing, I hope and pray that this was an edifying lesson. Once again, I want to give all praises and honor and glory that's definitely due to Yahweh by Hashem, Yahushua by Hashem, Rakak Radash. Special double honors to the elders and apostles on down at Great Millstone. Peace and salutations to the elect. Until the next time, Lord willing, I'll say Shalom.